So let's go a little bit further. Right now, all we have are a couple of divs that display some text. And let's clean things up a little bit. First of all, I'll get rid of this app2 div because I don't need that anymore. And I'll also get rid of fish and the line break inside of my div ID app. And I'm also going to get rid of this JavaScript for Bootstrap because we're not going to use that. So that's totally unnecessary. And down here in the script section, I'll get rid of fish. And I'll also get rid of the data2 and VM2 bit because that refers to a div that doesn't exist anymore. So now this is pretty simple. And if we preview this, so I'll switch back to my browser and have a look at it, all we have is hello view. Now what I want to do next is to demonstrate how you can bind one thing to another in Vue. So what I'm going to do is add an input right here, a standard text input that allows me to type text in, and I want that input to be bound to this little bit message right here where it says hello Vue. So that's pretty simple. So let's get started doing that. Back in my IDE, first of all, I'll put the appropriate input in. So I'll put another row here. So I'll just go div row, div call, and inside of that, I'll put a standard input. So I'll put a div in here with a class of, say, margin top 3, margin bottom 3. And then I'll put in a label for, and we'll call it, say, message input. And the class will be form label straight out of Bootstrap. And we'll put the label message. And then on the next line, we'll actually have the input. So this is an input, and I'll put this on multiple lines so it's more readable. I'm going to put a special attribute in here, v-model. And you'll see this all the time in Vue. When you have a directive like this, it usually starts with v-. And that's going to be v-model will be equal to message. Now what that's referring to is actually this variable in our data object, message. So this model, this v-model binds this input to this variable up here. So that's my first attribute. My second one is a standard type equals text, because it's just the text input. And we'll give the class form control, so it looks the way it should. And we'll give it an ID, message input. So let's see what that looks like. Let's go back over to our web browser. So we now have hello Vue, and we have the message hello Vue. But watch what happens when I change this, ABC. Notice how this form input is now bound to this message, to this variable message. And whatever I type in here is reflected in there instantly. So when it's gone entirely. Now is the time for all good men. You get the idea. And that's actually incredibly useful. As you might expect, this is very useful when you want to bind data you've retrieved from a server, say as a JSON file, to what's displayed in a form. And there are lots of other situations where this sort of thing is very useful as well. So let's go back to our code. And as you can see, all that was necessary to bind this input to this variable was this one little directive, v-model. And that's pretty simple. Okay, we'll move on in the next lecture and try some other kinds of interactivity.